Hi, everybody. Welcome to Grace with Paul Gray. I'm going to do something a little different today, and I'll take a couple of minutes longer than I normally do. I want to tell you about my friend, Bill Wenzel. We were friends for over 35 years, and last Sunday, I gave the eulogy for his celebration of life service. And I had the privilege of listening to stories from him about his life, hearing his philosophy of life, and learning about his great faith in God. Bill was born August 27, 1927, on a Lansing, Kansas farm, several weeks premature. He had no hair, no eyelashes, no eyebrows, no fingernails. Of course, they didn't think he would live back in 1927. His first bed was a shoebox that was stuffed full of cotton. They put him in that, wrapped him up, and placed him on the oven door, the open door of the oven, on a wood-fired stove, which served as like a very primitive incubator. They said he wouldn't make it, but he proved them wrong. When he was only 3 years old, he started walking to other people's farmhouses and stores in the town and just visiting with the adults, and they loved it. They said he asked the best questions. He was a quick learner, and he related how one man kept telling him to be really interested in people, to listen to them, to learn about them, to pay attention, to listen to what they were saying, and then always say goodbye and tell them that he was glad to meet him when he left. Well, Bill learned that and a lot of other things those adults told him very well. His parents were very hardworking. But 2 years after Bill was born, in October of 1929, the Great Depression started. Then the Dust Bowl, which greatly affected farmers in the Midwest. They first had to move because they lost their farm when my friend was only 5 years old. And Bill started working then, finding whatever odd jobs he could do for the neighbors. He worked all kinds of little jobs to pay for his clothes and for his shoes and his books when he started going to grade school and all the way through grade school. Eventually, they moved to another farm that had a pond on it. He was only 8 years old then, and he decided he wanted to buy a boat. And people said, "You can't do that," but he proved them wrong. He bought it, carried it home a few miles, made his own oars, and eventually used it in a variety of ways to make money. Like other boys, he had a little red wagon. He would pull that around with things that he would sell. He rode ponies and eventually horses, and some of his jobs involved keeping, training, and working with horses. He started being involved in the church when he was just a young boy, and he continued that service all his life. He really seemed to understand God's forgiveness and grace, and he loved helping other people and being of service. When he was young, one of his grandfathers took him to meet Buffalo Bill Cody, whom he'd gone to school with. His other grandfather chased and later took care of Geronimo at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Like his grandfathers, he had a life full of meeting unique people. Bill had a variety of sales jobs all the way through grade school. He sold seeds and flowers and farm produce and sold turnips door to door, often making more money in a day than some adults did then at their labor jobs. And he helped contribute to the family's budget. Like my mom and many country kids, Bill boarded with a family in town in Lansing to go to high school. He was the first person on either side of his family to go past the 8th grade and to go to high school. After high school, when he was 17 years old, Bill joined the Merchant Marines. And he told Kitsy and me over the years some great stories about his times in Cuba and other South American countries and places all over the world. I don't have time to repeat those stories here. After his time in the service, he met the love of his life, Marilyn, and they enjoyed 66 years of marriage and especially loved their 3 kids and their grandkids. They initially, when they first got married, opened a grocery store, cafe, and hotel in Lansing. During that time, Bill and Marilyn built a house for his parents in Lansing, and it was the first house his parents ever had with running water, heat, and a bathroom. Bill had many fond memories of family outings there with his and Marilyn's kids. Then Bill took a job selling life insurance. Of course, a lot of people said, "You can't make any money doing that." But Bill proved him wrong. He quickly climbed the corporate ladder, moved several times, and ended up in Austin, Texas, where they lived for 31 years, and he retired as a staff manager for Prudential when he was 50 years old. Then he and Marilyn started a new career, and that's when I met him in the early 80s. And basically, he helped people. There was one particular couple in Texas who were at rock bottom. They were about to go bankrupt. The man was a hopeless alcoholic. His wife and kids would have to walk over him to get ready to go to school every morning because he would be passed out on the living room floor. Their marriage, finances, and this guy's health were at rock bottom. Bill decided to help him. People said, "You can't help that guy." Well, Bill proved him wrong. He took the guy to AA, and both Bill and he quit drinking. The marriage was restored. Bill and Marilyn helped them become successful business owners and turned their financial situation around as well. Most any time I was around Bill, he was super positive. He always had a smile. He would hug you. He wanted to know how you were doing and how he could help you. He was a great storyteller and speaker and encourager. He just liked helping people, even when he wouldn't benefit financially from doing so. He got no financial benefit from helping me in my business, but he did anyway. And he was a man of his word. You could depend on Bill Winsel. But like everyone else, he had moments when he could get down. Sales, especially direct sales, multi-level marketing, can really take a toll on people. There are great high moments, but there are corresponding low moments when people in your organization quit and people badmouth you and people don't keep their word and people ridicule you and other people tell you can't do it, it won't work. One morning in the mid-1980s, God prompted me to call Bill. I was in Lawrence, Kansas, and he lived in Austin, but I called him just to thank him for how he had encouraged me and the wonderful difference he'd made in my life. And he was really appreciative, and we chatted for a while, and that was that. So I thought. He later told me that on that particular morning, he was so discouraged, he wasn't sure he could go on, and that my phone call made the difference for him. Now, I tell you that not to pat myself on the back, but to tell you that in part, I learned that from Bill Winsel because he did that to me and a ton of other people. And I also believe that Jesus, who lived in Bill and who lives in me, prompted me to do that, as he did with Bill. Most of the time, we didn't even know it was Jesus back then, but it was, and it is. I want to finish with a couple of poignant paragraphs in Bill's autobiography. He said, "Unfortunately, later on, we found out that Dad was seeing a friend of the family on a continuing basis. She was a good friend of my mom, and it ended up in many tears. My wife, Marilyn, and I were involved to a great degree. Dad would come to our house in tears many nights. Marilyn and I would go to Mom's house to find her sobbing in the bedroom. Then Mom's character and Christian beliefs shone through like an Easter morning sunrise. The purpose in writing this on Palm Sunday, 1991, when he wrote it, is that the lady in question had a very serious operation a couple of years after the affair. Mom, in her goodness, took her in while she was recuperating. She forgave her, she nursed her, and she kept her till she was well enough to go back to work. The lady was on Mom's birthday mailing list and Easter mailing list until she died. He said, my mom still prayed for her at times when I was with Mom in the last years of her life. Bill closed with, what a lady, my mom. And I want to close with, what a man, my friend, Bill Winsel. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you next time.